Our next speaker is a very dynamic speaker, a very interesting speaker. Dr. Lowell Catlett is a Regents Professor and Dean and Chief Administrative Officer at New Mexico State University's College of Agriculture, Consumer, and Environmental Sciences. If you Google his name, you really don't see that come up first. What you do see is Dr. Catlett, the futurist speaker, addressing everything from agricultural to healthcare to environmental to just plain business issues. And I heard him, the last time I heard him was up at a program by Texas cattle feeders, and it's probably been 6 or 7 years ago. And after I heard him, I thought, wow, I walked away from there really thinking differently. We've been trying to get him back to Texas A&M Beef Cattle Short Course ever since then, and there's always been one thing or another, or he's had a conflict, because he does have a busy schedule there at New Mexico State University. And finally, we were able to snag him, and we've got him back in Aggie land. I think the last time he was here was 10 or 12 years ago. Let's give Dr. Catlett a big round of applause.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jason, for that kind introduction. Good afternoon. Oh, come on. I'm the only thing between you and some prime rib and probably a hell of a lot of alcohol. So you can do better than that. Good afternoon. All right. It's a pleasure to be back. I always love to come back and get down here, as you call it, Aggie land. I like to get down here where there's some trees because I grew up on a ranch in the Panhandle of Texas, so my Panhandle folks know it's we just don't have any trees up there. State trees, the telephone pole by some people's standards. So it's. But I was up there visiting closest little town, a place called Dalhart, where I grew up, and I was up there not too long ago visiting one of the former county commissioners up, the guy by the name of Josh Brown, and Josh says, when I was chairman of the county commission, he says, if you're on the county commission, everybody just thinks your time is their time, and so he said I was mowing my lawn one Saturday, and he said the doorbell rings, and so he said my wife answers the door, and this guy's standing there, and he's obviously a minister, and so he said he wants to talk to me, so he said I clean up and walk up there, and he introduces himself as a minister, and I said, what can I do for you, Reverend? And he said, well, I want to rent your community facility for a revival tonight. He said, well, now, Reverend, he said, what, you want to have a revival? And he said, yeah. He said, well, what are you going to tell the good people about in your revival? He said, well, I'm going to talk about the second coming of Christ. He says, Reverend, that shows you don't understand this part of Texas, because if Christ had ever been here once, trust me, he ain't ever coming back to the place. And then he says, Lowell, you cannot make this stuff up. He said, it wasn't that long ago, he said, I was directing the county commission meeting, and he said there was just a few people, and we were done with our business. And he says, I look, and there are just 4 or 5 people in the audience, and we're done doing our business, and we're getting to the public comment part, and I noticed the superintendent of schools, Superintendent Jones, is sitting there. So I get to it, and I said, Superintendent Jones, do you have some business before this county commission? And he stands up, and he says, yes, sir. He said, I do. I come here. I'm going to ask the commission if they'll buy a new car for the school. He says, Superintendent, he said, why would we want to buy a car for the school? And he said, well, the car we got is really old, and we really use it. He said, well, Superintendent, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to give him a little bit better description of you really using the car you've got before we as the county commission can buy the school system a new car. Are you really using the car you got? And he says, oh, I guarantee we are, because the driver's education class uses it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the sex education class uses it Tuesday and Thursday. He said, you can't make this stuff up, Lowell. I always love to come here and be here. I deeply appreciate being in Aggie land, and the people at Producers Co-op are kind enough to have me come back in October. So it's a pleasure to get back here, and at least the rains have come back a little bit anyway, and it's green and lush, and it's always a pleasure to be here. I'm always treated wonderfully and kind. There's an old expression that you can judge a people by how well they treat a stranger, and in all my years of coming here, I've never been treated as anything but family. So thank you for letting me come back. Let me share a few things with you real quick, because I know the prime rib's waiting for you, okay? First one is this, okay? And let's start with this thing, because as I told you, I grew up on a ranch. My late father was a teetotaler, didn't drink alcohol. My mom, still at age 85, lives on a ranch near Clarendon right now, still a teetotaler. So I grew up in a household without any alcohol. But when I went off to college, folks, I took to alcohol real good. I like it, you know. Actually, I love it. I like that lightheaded, euphoric feeling that alcohol gives you. I mean, I do. I like it. But I found out now at age 63, I get the same effect by standing up too quickly. So I've become a cheap drunk. But one of the things that you do when you start aging, you start framing things and you start seeing things a little bit differently. And that's really my message to you about the future of not only ranching or the beef industry, is to frame things a little bit differently. And it's important in that framing to have a vision. And let me tell you, folks, if you didn't get excited listening to Victoria and Jasmine about the future of agriculture, come on, folks, wasn't that fabulous? Wasn't that fabulous? Fabulous, okay? And in the video that Jasmine talking, she referenced, we are celebrating a birthday this year, the 150th anniversary of the Morrill Act. You know, what's interesting about vision is this: Justice Smith Morrill, the senator from Vermont, actually got the Land-Grant College Act passed and through Congress, and it went to President James Buchanan's desk to be signed, except President James Buchanan chose not to sign it. That's why history doesn't write more than about 2 sentences about President James Buchanan. Okay? Yeah. He had the chance to do it, but no, it took Abraham Lincoln, in the midst of the most bloody war this nation has ever fought. 600,000+ Americans died. Best number we can come up with, 4 million horses gave up their life. In all the wars that we've fought since then, you add up all the casualties, they don't add up to 600,000. Devastating. The height of it, 1862, Abraham Lincoln signs the law that established the land-grant colleges and universities. Land-grant colleges and universities have produced more patents, more awards, graduated more bachelor's, master's, and PhDs than any higher education system in the world. That's a vision. And that was powerful. In the midst of death all around him, whether we had a country or not, he signs that one. Also signed a couple of other little laws, same year, 1862, one establishing the Department of Agriculture, and the third one establishing the Transcontinental Railroad. Character matters too. Abraham Lincoln, very wealthy attorney by the day's standard, wasn't impoverished in his youth, but he was, by all the standards of the day, well paid. Did a lot of work with railroads. He knew that one day we would have a transcontinental railroad. Congress, in passing the Transcontinental Railroad in 1862 to go to Abraham Lincoln's desk to be signed, specified everything about hooking both coasts together except where it would start. It was too political of a hotbed to where to start building the Transcontinental Railroad. Lincoln, in the 1850s, because he had worked a lot with the railroads in Illinois, knew one day that they would extend the railroads that existed in Illinois. So as a speculator, he purchased some lots in a little place called Council Bluffs, Iowa, thinking that that would be a nice place to head west. When he got to his desk, in signing it, he had to specify where it started. He could have specified Council Bluffs, Iowa, and sold his lots at a nice profit. But he knew that to do so would first and foremost require that they build a very costly bridge to cross the river there and slow it down. So he specified, no, we will start across the river in a little obscure place today known as Omaha. Omaha grows, Council Bluffs. His widow Mary disposed of the lots later at a loss. It's important to have character, important to have vision. He saw it. James Buchanan couldn't find his rear end with both hands. Lincoln saw it, started the most phenomenal thing on the planet. So as you age, what I'm trying to get at is when you age, it's important to have these visions. Mine come mostly with alcohol, but it's important to have visions, okay? But it's important to understand the base. So the base is this, and this is the one that just I want to share with you because it's the most important thing that's critical to this industry, the beef industry, any industry in agriculture, any industry to survive. And let me start first and foremost. To eat in the United States, because I just ran the numbers. To eat in the United States, okay? Hear a lot of press. It's costly. People pay for a lot of food. USDA numbers show this, though. 2 years ago, the average American spent, I'm going to talk about disposable income. You understand what disposable income is? Disposable means, guess what? It's what's left after you paid your obligation to Uncle Sugar, the states, the feds, everybody else. This is what you've got left to live on. You with me? Disposable income. Disposable income. To eat in America 2 years ago, 9.6% of your disposable income to eat. Except, wait a minute, what's happened since then? Has it gone up or gone down? Today in America, it's about 7%, okay? 7% to eat, okay? Now I'm going to buy your booze, because you know what? I think booze is important, okay? Because I've done some serious research on this, and trust me, beer has food value. Food has no beer value, okay? So I'm going to feed you. I'm going to buy you booze. Now I'm going to let you do what Americans do. 1 out of every 2 meals approximately, excusez-moi s'il vous plaît, about 48%. Is that close enough for government work? 1 out of every 2 meals is eaten where? Away from home. What you're going to do tonight? Eat this wonderful prime rib. You with me? So I'm going to feed you, buy you booze, let you eat every other meal away from home. Now how much of your disposable income have you consumed in America? Incidentally, it's the lowest in the world. 13%. I ran the numbers for Canada. It's the second lowest in the world, 16%. Now I'm going to do something else for you. I'm going to buy you a house. You know, all the professors out here and me, we can stand before our senior classes today at our 6,668 institutions of higher education. I can stand before a freshman class, or I can stand very proudly before a senior class and say this: never in the history of keeping records has it been cheaper to own a home in the United States of America. That's powerful. My first job at New Mexico State University as a young assistant prof, 1978, when I bought my first home, 1979, my 30-year fixed-rate mortgage was 11%. I made the mistake of saying it in front of a colleague. He'll go, quit bragging, mine was 17%. You think we were upside down on our mortgages? Kind of. So I'm going to buy you a home. I'm going to pay for your utilities, including hooking you up to the internet and phone service, because we know that is absolutely critical. Are you with me? I've fed you, bought you booze, let you eat out, bought you a home, paid your utilities, hooked you up to the internet and phone service. Now how much of your disposable income have I consumed? Again, lowest in the world. And the lowest it's ever been in the United States. 31%. Ran the numbers for Canada, again, second lowest in the world, 36%. Take the difference between the two on how we pay for our health care, and you got basically the difference. Now do some quick math for me. You got a calculator, you can use it. Subtract 31% from 100%. This is tough. I'll give you a few minutes. If I did my math right, it's what? 69%. I've got 69%, average American has 69% of their disposable income to do what with? I call it buying crap. Okay? I don't mean crap in a bad sense. I mean it's, because what's one person's crap is another person's what? Treasure. Okay? Come on, ladies, you saw the number, came out 2 years ago. Average female in America owns 17 pairs of shoes, buys 3 new pair every 6 months. Some of you ladies are looking at me like, and your point? And my point is my wife will not allow me to go to Lowe's or Home Depot by myself, because I walk into one of those stores, I go into sub-hypnotic trance. I go, damn, look at those pliers. They're dipped in rubber. I didn't know I needed those. I don't. But I found out it's far easier to buy a pair than to look for a pair. You want to have a vibrant economy, folks. I just summed up everything I know about economics. You want to have a vibrant economy. You want the crap factor to be as high as possible. Okay? That's what creates markets. 70% of our economy is consumer-driven. It's a market. This sports coat will one day go out of fashion. I will continue to wear it, but some people would get another one. Okay? It's called a market. You want to have a vibrant economy. You want the crap factor to be as high as possible. Oh, excusez-moi, we have fancy names for it in economics. We call it economic democracy, economic freedom. But if I use those terms, or you want your disposable income that's left after the basics to be as high as possible, I could say that. You won't remember it. You'll remember the crap factor. Okay? Because the crap factor is what's going to make beef even more profitable. Why? Come on, you know the numbers. 2 to 3% of our weekly beef slaughter grades prime, doesn't it? Yet high-end meat purveyors have told me for a decade what? They can sell twice as much, can't they? Because guess what? In a high crap factor world, people like to go to what? Fancy steakhouses, and I want prime. I don't care if it's $60, give me prime. Could you make it organic, too? Maybe free range. I tell people, I grew up on a ranch, we had free range chickens. Follow them. Watch what they eat. I'll take mine raised on corn and soybeans. Thank you very much. High crap factor world, folks. It's what drives the economy. Oh, and please do not let anybody ever pull the wool over your eyes, because I hear it all the time. Just stop them short. Have you heard this one? America just doesn't make anything anymore. It all comes from China. Everything. No, it doesn't. We manufacture more things in America today than at any time in history, and we manufacture more things than anybody in the world. No, we don't make color television sets anymore, but we make some pretty smart heart stents and the finest heavy equipment, farm equipment on the planet, some pretty nice airplanes, 3 or 2 automobiles, and you know what we don't count in manufacturing? The 6 million white oak whiskey barrels that we make new every year. Okay? They're not durable. Or the 8,000 furniture manufacturers that make furniture, don't count them, it's not durable. We make more things in America today than at any time in history, and we make more things than anybody in the world. We got a high crap factor world, and a high crap factor world is phenomenal. Okay? But the real essence is this, because Smithsonian did a nice little presentation and put it in charts that you could understand doing the crap factor, except they didn't call it the crap factor. Okay? They're a little bit more sophisticated than I am. Okay? What you want in a world, though, is for the world's crap factor to do what? It's growing, okay? And what we call the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and last year they asked South Africa to join them, called the BRICS. Their economies have been growing at a steady 6%, putting them all together over the last decade. What do you think's been happening to their crap factor? And in their crap factor world, guess what they're saying? Yeah, I want that beef. And you know what? If you travel over there, you'll find this. They want our food because our standards are the highest in the world. And guess what? They know people die. And they want our food and are willing to pay more for it. Get ready. The demand in the world for American-produced food is going to blow your doors off. Okay? Phenomenal. Get ready for it, because they like it and they want it, and their standards are going to be changed because we got high crap factor. The world's crap factor is about 8%, incidentally. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is it's what? It's getting bigger. Okay? So, you got the most differentiated, segmented marketplace ever in existence. And in that world, yes, there is room for organic. We didn't measure it hardly 10 years ago, and it's now 4% and what? Growing. Here was one we didn't measure 5 years ago. Now it's 1.7% of the food sector and growing. Gluten-free. 1.7% of the food sector is now gluten-free. Okay? Except hard studies show that between 1/10 and 0.5% of people have any form of celiac disease. But what the hell? Got a high crap factor. It's like, well, can you make it gluten-free? Free-range gluten? You got any free-range gluten? See, in a low crap factor world, you drink Budweiser, don't you? In a high crap factor world, guess what? You want a craft beer, don't you? I want Moose Drool or, Austin City Limits Microbrew. Okay. Secretary of Ag in Colorado is on a major hunt worldwide for millet, because millet is naturally what? Gluten-free. Seems there's enough craft brewers in Colorado that there's enough demand now for gluten-free craft beer. Okay. I say it with kind of a mocking tone, not because I'm mocking it. I'm an economist. They're great markets. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I say it in kind of the tone I think my late father would say. What in the hell are you talking about? Okay. But my father's generation was a world that just tried to feed a hungry world, didn't they? Be happy you got food on your table. Shut up. And if you take it out of the plate, Lowell, you're going to do what? You're going to eat it. Why? Starving children in the world. I always wanted to have the guts to say, well, send it to them, because I didn't want to eat it. Powerful, folks. And because of that, baby boomers, guess what? We're leading the obesity epidemic, aren't we? Because guess what? We were taught by our parents to do what? Clean the plate. And restaurant portions in the last 15 years alone have gone up 40% in size. I do not overeat. I am overserved. But get ready, folks, because within a high crap factor world, it's what you want for a vibrant economy, highest in the world, folks. We're producing and doing things. That's what people do. That's why you get up every morning as Americans and produce things. And you didn't hear about this one last year, and this is not political, trust me, folks, because I made some form of this presentation for almost 40 years. I've made it when Democrats were in the White House and Republicans controlled the Senate and vice versa. Are you with me, folks? It has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with Americans that have a high crap factor producing weird stuff for us to buy. Okay? Okay? Because get ready, folks. And vision is interesting, isn't it? I remember in 1960, I had my first science class, Dalhart, Texas. I remember the teacher coming in and saying, at current rates of consumption of oil and gas, there will be no oil and gas in 1985. And I'm thinking, I don't even have my driver's license, and there ain't going to be any oil and gas. And it was forecast to occur last year, but it didn't, but it probably will this year. The number one oil and gas producing state is forecasted last year, but probably will make it this year, to be North Dakota. North Dakota? Like 3 people in North Dakota. 3 very rich people in North Dakota. It seems that Balkan oil reserve, if you take it and overlay over the largest known oil and gas pool currently in the world, Saudi Arabia is slightly larger. Oh, and below it at 15,000 feet, not commercially available today, but probably will be soon, is another field 3 times as big. Google a night photo of Williston, North Dakota, town of about 15,000 people. They punched so many oil wells and gas wells into the Balkan that they're flaring it. Do the night photo. Williston of 15,000 people looks larger than Minneapolis, St. Paul, 120 miles away. Last year, ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America exported more energy than we imported. Interesting. Because we've been here, we don't have any oil and gas. Getting it all, the world gives it to us. I've gone back and looked at all the oil companies' annual reports 10 years ago. Not one single one of them ever had a scenario that said we can be energy independent again. And now every one of them has a scenario that says what? We're going to be energy independent again. That's phenomenal. One fell swoop. Dallas-Fort Worth Airport 2 years ago. Out of that little oil and gas pool that they found, had royalties. They quit reporting them because I think they were embarrassed. The last one I saw, Dallas-Fort Worth Airport had royalties that year of $258 million. $250 million? DFW doesn't care if planes take off anymore there. Don't you know those board of directors, when they went out there in the prairie and built DFW years ago, don't you know they factored it in? We think in the year 2000, we will be energy independent and make more money than aircraft taking off and landing. I know they built that in there. Don't you know they did? Vision.